Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be looking at issue 57 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine, which comes with the first set of parts for a unit of Cthonian Beserks for the Leagues of Votann. We'll be looking through the issue at their build guide and then playing the next Combat Patrol game in our campaign. Taking a look through the issue, we start with the build guide for the Cthonian Beserks. These are multi-part models, like the rest of the Leagues of Votann, so you will need glue to put them together. And you have a few head options, but otherwise no customizability really. So there's one model with a pair of concussion gauntlets, which are the big armoured fists, then three with heavy plasma axes, and then one which is actually two models, one with the mole grenade launcher and an Ironkin helper, and they both go on the larger 50mm base, as you can see here. Then some more lore on the Leagues of Votann, this time the Kronos Hegemony. One of the younger leagues split off for another one that was failing when they obtained their own Votann. They have a reputation for being aggressive and warlike, even sometimes feuding with the other leagues in competition for resources. And they have a yellow and black colour scheme, which is actually the colour scheme the magazine tells you to paint them as you can see in these pictures. And in war they tend to launch armoured assaults. Which neatly leads us on to our next section on transports. Obviously the battlefields of the 41st millennium are deadly places, and so infantry units will ride to battle inside an armoured transport to protect them. Examples being the famous Land Raider of the Space Marines, which you can even see a cutaway diagram here. A heavily armoured battle tank with a substantial transport capacity. There's a Hecaton land fortress of the Leagues of Votann here, which is less physically heavily armoured but has advanced shield technology. And there are even some factions that use essentially biological transports like this Ork kill rig, which is pulled by a huge squig and carries some of the boys into battle. Then we can talk about light vehicles, which are generally faster, less heavily armoured, but often pack quite a punch for their size and are ideal for reconnaissance and fast attack missions. So many species use bikes, like the Genestealer Colts bikes that you can see here, which we'll get some of with the magazine later. And the artwork depicts a Space Marine bike and some land speeders. More advanced flying jet bikes do exist as well, like these Adeptus Custodes ones, and obviously the Eldari ones as well that we got with our collection. And many factions have skimming vehicles as well, like this Tau Piranha that can fly over terrain, hovering a short distance above the battlefield. Finally, we have the collection article for the Cthonian Beserks. These are actually miners who also take to the field of battle wielding their equipment like the plasma axes and concussion gauntlets that they would use to extract minerals. And their various cybernetic augmentations help them to be deadly combatants. As usual, you can roll for their background, write down their name and record when you've built, painted and played with them. And then of course we have their datasheet, but we won't need that until the next issue. So I'll hand you over to Mike now, who will be taking us into our next campaign game.
So looking for this rules content for this issue, first up with the datasheet for the Cthonian Beserks. We'll save this for the next video. We also have a campaign game of Orks versus Tyranids on display of might. Now, this won't be the game we'll be playing this issue, we'll actually be skirting back to the previous issue to do Orks versus Space Marines instead, so I'll have a look at that later. On the next page we have the victory outcomes if they've won the campaign at this point, or which games to play next. We also have the faction abilities for the Leagues of Votann, which I will go over now, but we'll probably recap them by the time we get to see them in action. So we have the Eye of the Ancestors rule, where enemy units that destroy Leagues of Votann units gain judgment tokens. An enemy unit can never have more than 2 judgment tokens at a time. And whenever Votann models make attacks against units that have judgment tokens, they get bonuses. If the enemy unit has 1 judgment token, they get +1 to hit. And if they have 2 judgment tokens, they get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And judgment tokens can be applied in 2 ways. First, by destroying Votann units. The other way is using the Carl's Grim Efficiency ability. And there are other few provisos, such as if a unit with judgment tokens is removed from the battlefield, then if it is set up again, it still retains those judgment tokens. And also, if a unit with judgment tokens is split into 2 smaller units, each of those units gains a number of judgment tokens equal to that of the original unit. And if 2 units combine into a single unit, you take a note of how many the unit with the most had, and the new unit has a number of judgment tokens equal to this. I'm not sure when that would actually happen, but nice to know just in case. And the next page is a tutorial on how the judgment tokens work and how the passing judgment ability works. I think we've seen this in action when the car was introduced. And then we have the extra rules for the Leagues of Votann, so their enhancements, secondary objectives and stratagems. For their enhancements, the default enhancement is Waste Feeds the Void. When a model in the bearer's unit makes a range attack, you can reroll hit rolls of 1, and the bearer's unit can shoot in a turn it fell back. Alternatively, you have the Pragmat Comms uplink, which gives +1 to the OC characteristic of models in the bearer's unit, and reroll Battleshock tests for the bearer's unit. And then the secondary objectives, the default one is Toil Earns, where at the start of the deploy army step before the battle, you select one objective marker not in your deployment zone, and from the second battle round onwards, at the end of your turn you get an extra 4 VP if you control that objective marker. Alternatively, we have Settler Grudge, where from the second battle round onwards, at the start of the battle round, you can select one enemy unit that has one or more judgment tokens to be your army's target for the battle round, and then at the end of the battle round you score 4 VP if your army's target for the battle round is destroyed. Finally, the stratagems. First one is Payment in Kind, which is used in any phase when a Votann unit was destroyed, and then until the end of the battle, each time a Leagues of Votann model targets the enemy model that destroyed that unit, you reroll hit rolls of 1. Then we have Panspectral Sweep, which is used in the Votann shooting phase. When a unit of Votann is about to shoot, they gain lethal hits for their ranged attacks. And finally, Skeen Rork Physiology, which is used in your opponent's shooting phase. Just after an enemy unit has selected its target, you can select one of the Votann units being targeted to gain +1 to its save characteristic. And these are all 1 CP each. And we have a nice preview on the back page of the 2 upcoming combat patrols, the Astra Militar on the left and the Gene Sealer Cult on the right. And we'll just rewind an issue to have a look at the campaign game for this video. So looking back at issue 56, we have the first appearance of the Orks in the campaign games we've been given. And since we haven't seen Space Marines vs Orks yet, I don't believe, we'll be playing them on Clash of Patrols, which I don't think the Orks have played either. So we'll set up our game and get into it. So here we are set up for Clash of Patrols. Rather fewer Orks deployed on the board than you might be expecting, but we'll come to that in a minute. I'll be playing the Space Marines for this game and going through my deployment. I've got the captain with the Terminators and I've given him the Oathsworn Determination enhancement. I give his unit +1 OC, and I'm also going for the Shock Tactics secondary objective, so I'll be trying to take objectives off the Orks with the Terminators. I've got the Infernus Marines next to them, and I've got my Librarian on my far left flank. Looking at the Ork deployment, you can see 3 of their units.
Yeah, that's because this is only the second time we're seeing the Orks, so I've gone for the optional enhancement and secondary objective. The optional enhancement being the Teleporter for the War Boss, which gives him and 1 unit of boys Deep Strike, so they're going to be arriving later. So that means that on the board, going from left to right, we have the other unit of boys, that's the Rocket Launcher unit, the Death Dread right in the centre, and the Death Copters, and the optional secondary objective is Proppa Looting. So at the end of my command phase, for each objective marker I control not in my deployment zone, which is actually all of them in this game, that has not been looted, I can attempt to loot it. I roll a dice on a 2 to 4, I get 3 victory points. On a 5+, I get 5 victory points, as long as the unit looting is not in engagement range.
Here you can see the units in Deep Strike. And a quick recap of Clash of Patrols. We have 4 objectives. Each objective is worth 5 VP up to a maximum of 15 at the end of each player's command phase. And also, at the end of each player's command phase, you can choose one objective to gather intelligence from. As long as your Warlord is still on the battlefield, you get an extra CP from that objective by gathering intelligence from it. And each objective can only be gathered from once, regardless of which player it is. And now we're just rolling off for the first turn. Now, I've won the roll-off, so we're into Space Marines turn 1. So in my command phase, first I'm going to put Oath of the Moment on this unit of boys with the rocket launcher behind the cargo container. Also I will use Duty and Honour to maintain control of Objective 4 in later turns, and the Terminators have just moved up so they can all see one of the boys on the end. The Librarian likewise moving towards Objective 2. And the Infernus Marines, they actually advanced. They only rolled a 1, so they can't get in range of Objective 3 yet, but if the Death Copters come closer, I should be able to overwatch them. So shooting, I'm going to start with the Terminators going into the unit of boys, which they can all just about see. So the Terminators rule gives their unit +1 to hit against the Oath of the Moment target, so I can roll their attacks with the captain. So we have 10 Stormbolter shots, hitting on 2s, re-rolling because of Oath of the Moment. 9 hits, wounding on 5s because Orks are toughness 5. 4 wounds, that's not too bad.
Plenty of boys in cover though, so there'll be 4+ saves. We all failed 3.
Then we've got the Assault Cannon, 6 shots on 2s, re-rolling. Re-roll that 1 into a hit. Wounding on 3s because it's turned 6. 6s are devastating. 2 wounds and 2 devastating wounds.
The 2 saves for the normal wounds, failed 1 of those, so it's another 3 gone.
Finally then, the Librarian still has an Ork he can see, so he'll shoot at them as well. So the Librarian, I'll do his smite first. I'll do the regular smite so he doesn't potentially hurt himself. D6 shots, getting 2. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling. They both hit. Strength 5, so 4s. 1 wound at -1.
With cover, that will be a 5+. All saved.
2 Stormbolter shots, that both hit, and don't wound. I'm quite happy with that shooting, to be honest. I need to whittle down the numbers of Orks to reduce the OC. That'll be the end for the Space Marine turn, on to Orks turn 1.
So in my command phase, these boys failed their battle shock test, unfortunately, but I can try and loot Objective 1 because the Death Dread is within 3 inches of it. On a 2 to 4, I get 3 victory points. On a 5+, I get 5. That's 3 victory points. And then for my movement, those remaining boys are just going to hang back. They are going to get in range of Objective 1, even though they're battle shocked at the moment. They might not be next turn. The Death Dread is going to come stomping forward, because if it charges the Terminators, it might kill a couple of them before they can put Oath of Moment on it and wreck it. If I don't charge them, they'll probably do that anyway. And the Death Copters are going to come straight up into the face of the Infernus Marines, and hopefully engage them in melee to some extent. But we've got a bit of shooting to do before that, and it's basically just going to be all rockets into the Terminators from everything. But we'll start with the unit of boys. E3+1 shots, because there are 5 or more of them. 3 shots, so 4, which will be hit on 5s. Oh, 1 did. Wounds on a 3. It does.
4 plus invulnerable. Failed.
3 damage.
I'll kill the sergeant.
Then the Death Copters will do next. So we've got 2 Copter rockets, also blast. D3 each, so that will be 6. Also on 5s, getting 1. Wounding on a 3. Yes, another wound.
4 plus invulnerable. Made it this time.
And then the custom Mega Blaster, which is just 3 shots, also on 5s. They all miss, but it is hazardous. Doesn't explode. And then a rocket from the Death Dread as well. Also blast, so that's 3 shots. 1 hit. And 1 wound.
With a 4 plus. Made it.
On to the charge phase. We'll start with the Death Dread, charging the Terminators. Gonna need a decent roll. 6 is not enough, so I'll spend a command point to re-roll. Into a 7, which I think is also too short. Now, unfortunately, not quite enough with a 7, so the Death Copters will charge the Infernus Marines.
I think the Infernus Marines will overwatch. 5d6 automatic hits. That's 12. Wounding on 5s. Only 2 wounds.
4 plus save, though. So it does do 2 wounds to a Death Copter. And then they couldn't fail their charge, so they've just gone in like that. And Death Copters have 6 attacks each, so there'll be 18 attacks hitting on 3s. 10 hits, wounding on 3s. 7 wounds, no AP.
7 3 plus saves. Failed 5, so that's 2.5 dead Marines. And 9 attacks back from the Infernus Marines on 3s. 5. And wounding on 5s. 4 wounds.
4 plus saves. Failed 2, that will destroy the damaged Copter.
So that is the end of Orks turn 1. On to Space Marines turn 2. So in my command phase, Oath of Moment's going to go on the Death Dread. I'm going to have to try and take the opportunity to get rid of it now. I gain an extra command point. I'm going to gather intelligence on objective 4, and I gain 5 victory points for holding 1 objective. In my movement phase, the Infernus Marines are going to fall back so that we can shoot at the Death Copters. The Terminators have moved up to hopefully charge the Death Dread, while the Librarian has moved so he can hold objective 2. And I'm going to start the shooting phase with the Librarian, and he's going to use a full power smite on the Death Copters. So d6 shots, 4, hitting on 3s, 3 hits, strength 6 I believe, so 4s. Only 1 wound, -2.
6 to save? No.
D3 damage, 1. And it's hazardous, he doesn't hurt himself. And his Stormbolter hits once, and wounds, with a 4 plus save.
Saved.
Now for the Terminators, we're going to put all the Stormbolters into that unit of boys up at the top, while the Assault Cannon goes into the Death Copters. So Captain's in Stormbolter range with the boys, so I'll do him first. 4 shots on 2s, they all hit. Wounding on 5s, they all wound.
We have 1 behind the container from his point of view, I'll have a 4 plus. Keep going. Okay, that one finally dies.
6 Stormbolter shots from the other 3 Terminators on 3s, 5 hits. And 5s, getting another wound.
No cover anymore. Oh, saved.
6 shots from the Assault Cannon on 3s, getting 5. Wounding on 4s, getting 3 with no devastating.
And no AP, so 4s to save. Another wound on a Death Copter.
I'm just going to charge the Death Dread. I might lose objective 4 to the Death Copters, but then again, the Orks would lose objective 3 by doing that if they move off it. So we can re-roll this charge because of the Captain. But I've rolled a 9, so that's definitely enough to get in. So we're going to charge in like that, getting at least one of them in range of the objective. Hopefully we'll kill the Death Dread and be able to consolidate onto it. And then the Terminators go first. I'm going to spend a CP for Veteran Instincts to give them re-rolling wounds against the Death Dread. So 12 attacks from Power Fists on 2s re-rolling, thanks to the Terminator's bonus and Oath of Moment. 4 hit, and then wounding it on 5s re-rolling. And it's only 5 wounds at -2.
2 plus save, so down to 4 plus. Oh, made 4 of them, so 2 damage through so far.
6 attacks from the Captain, again on 2s re-rolling. Good job we can re-roll. Get it in the box. Right, they're all in. 5s re-rolling as well. Poof. Right, he's got as many as the Terminators managed for the reroll. No. 5 wounds from the captain only.
More 4s. Oh, failed 3, so he destroys it. Although I have got command points, so I guess I should probably reroll 1 at this point. Otherwise that'd be another 6 damage. No. Jeff Dread goes down. Captain saves the day. Does it explode on a 6? Oh, it does. It's only deadly demise 1.
Yeah, so Terminator takes a wound and it might hit an Ork. Terminator takes a wound and an Ork gets exploded. And then by consolidating, the captain and the assault cannon can get in range of objective 1, which means I'll take it from the Orks, while 2 more of them can get towards objective 3, and at least contest it enough that the Death Copters won't control it next turn. This will get me 5 victory points for taking objective 1 from the Orks, bringing me up to 10, and that will be the end of my turn. And there's the state of the board at the start of Orks' turn 2, where their reinforcements are going to be arriving.
So there's not actually any movement in the remaining units on the board. The 2 boys are going to stay there because if they move away, the Terminators will just control the objective next command phase. That'll be another 5 VP for the Space Marines, whereas the Death Copters need to deal with those Infernus Marines. Same reason as well, I don't want to give the Space Marines free control of objective 3.
And the 2 Orks at the top did pass their battle shock test, but the Orks don't gain any victory points because they don't technically control any objectives at the moment.
And then in the reinforcement step, the teleporter units have arrived. The boss is probably a bit narked that he's appeared and his Death Dread's been wrecked and everything, but he's here to sort it out. The boys have to arrive within 3 of him, but they're all 9 inches or more from other things. And there will be a bit of shooting. All the rockets and things are going into the Terminators, so we'll start with the Death Copters.
And I've got 2 CP, so I think I'll use Gene-wrought Resilience.
Rockets, D3+1, or will it be 4? 1 5s, 1 hit, and a 4 to wound thanks to Gene-wrought Resilience, which it did.
4 plus invulnerable. Saved.
And the Custom Mega Blaster has 3 shots on 5s, 1. Also a 4 to wound, no. And then Hazardous is fine. Then we have a rocket from the 2 remaining boys, which is 2 shots, which missed. The knob technically has a slugger, which hit. Wounds on a 5. Oh wow, wound from the slugger.
2 plus save. Made it.
The ball boss is going to shoot at the Infernus Marines. The 5 shots, because it is within rapid fire range, and the grot hits on 4s. Well, still only can manage 1. No better than an Ork. Didn't wound. And the unit of boys are going to shoot everything at the Librarian because most of their guns are only in range of him anyway.
Yeah, we'll just show the saves for this.
2 wounds in total from all of that with no AP.
He takes a wound.
Then we'll have some charges. The Death Copters are going into the Infernus Marines.
They're going to Overwatch, I think. See if we can take down that wounded Death Copter. 11 hits, wounding on 5s. 2 wounds again.
4s to save. Another wound. They're just going to go straight in, but both of them are in range of Objective 3 still. And over here, the big boys unit is going to charge the Librarian. Needing a 9, obviously. It's a 6, so I've got command points to spend. No. The Warboss might as well have a go as well. He'll go away from Objective 4, but if he kills the Librarian, he'll take Objective 2 instead. Yeah, technically the Space Marines will keep Objective 4 anyway. Get it in the box. Oh, it's 6. That's a 9, so it's enough. Yeah, so just about enough to get to the Librarian, and then I suppose we'll do the Warboss first. 4 attacks on 2s. They all hit. Wounding on 2s, strength 12. They all wound.
4 pluses. You failed 2, and that's enough to kill him. 2 damage each.
And we've also got 2 Death Copters. So I missed the camera, but there was 12 attacks, which hit 10 times. Winning on 3s. 7.
7 3+ saves. Failed 3, so we're down to 1 Marine. I'll do Sarge's hitbacks. He hits 3 times and doesn't wound. And that's it at the end of battle round 2. On to Space Marines turn 3.
So the start of the battle round, I did declare a war, because otherwise it's probably not going to be relevant.
Yeah, and then I'm going to put Oath of the Moment on the Death Copters, but I also gained 5 victory points because I still hold Objective 4. Because I secured it, the Warboss didn't stay near it long enough to unsecure it, and then the Infernus Marine Sergeant has fallen back, and he did pass his battle shock test, so he's fine. And I'm going to move away and try and decide it over Objective 3. The Terminators are going to shoot everything at the 2 Ork boys near Objective 1 to try and deny that from the Orks, and then hopefully charge the Death Copters and get rid of them.
But these Orks, in a fit of cunning, are actually going to go to ground, because if there's even a small chance they can hold Objective 1, it will be really helpful for my points.
So 4 shots from the Captain on 2s, they all hit. 5s, nothing. And then another Stormbolter and Rapid Fire and 2 more. Just 8 shots on 3s and 5s, a wound.
4+ with cover. No, the rocket launcher will go down.
6 shots from the Assault Cannon, get 5 hits. Wounding on 3s. 6s are devastating. Well, there's 2 devastating, so that's the knob dead immediately. Finally, the Terminators are going to charge the Death Copters. So they'll get in like that, and I'll use my CP for Veteran Instincts to give them re-rolling wounds, because the Death Copters are vehicles and I really want them dead. So we've got 12 attacks from Power Fists, hitting on 2s, re-rolling, see if they can redeem themselves. I don't need any re-rolls. Wounding on 3s, re-rolling, because the Death Copters are vehicles. Future re-roll. That's going to be 11 wounds at -2.
6s to save. There's only 1 in there, so they are very dead.
And then the Terminators will just consolidate onto Objective 3. But that's it for my turn, on to Orks turn 3.
So I did gain 5 victory points for finally holding an objective. I did also try and loot it with the war boss, but unfortunately rolled 1. So no loot was found there, and he thinks that's boring, so he's not going to stand around and try and do it again. When they assume he's to crump. So because it's a war, I can advance and charge. Both units ended up making a 9-inch move. It means there's also no shooting because they don't have any assault weapons. And the war boss is certainly going to charge the Terminators. So his roll is a 3, which is definitely not enough. Try re-rolling that. Into a 5, that's probably not enough either. Nope, no good. Oh, the boys will try and go in, because otherwise no one's going to be tying up the Terminators. They'll be in, I think, with an 8. Well, the boys certainly made it in, and they're going to do their best. We'll see what happens. I do have a stratagem called Get Stuck In, though. For 1 CP, they can pile and consolidate up to 6 inches, which will help the ones who probably wouldn't be able to fight otherwise get in to be able to fight. So we'll do that, because I did get another command point for gathering intelligence. So that certainly does mean that all the Orks can get into fight. We'll do the knob first. All Orks get +1 strength and attacks when war is being called, so this will be 4 attacks on 3s with the big chopper. Oh, we managed to miss 3 times though. Wounds on a 3 with strength 8. That's a wound. -1.
3+ armour.
Oh.
Failed. I'm going to re-roll that because this is 2 damage. Succeeded.
20 attacks with choppers hitting on 3s. You get a +1 attack. 13 hits winning on 4s because of war making them strength 5. It was only 3 wounds at -1.
3+ saves. Still failed 2, so we'll lose a Terminator.
And the 4 with the shooters and big shooter have close combat weapons, which are 2 attacks base, so 12 with war on 3s. So they're better at this apparently. That was 10 hits. Also 4s to wound. Oh, much better. That's 8 wounds with no AP.
2+ saves. I failed 1. Orks consolidate onto the remaining Terminators. 9 Power Fist attacks on 3s. It's 3 hits. Oh, there's an awful lot of Orks. There must be so many I can't swing. Wounding on 3s. Only 1 wound.
And it actually has a 5+ invulnerable save because of the war, which I failed. So it does kill 1 Ork.
And 6 attacks from the captain on 2s. Blimey, even he's struggling. I think that's only 2 hits. On 4s. 1 wound at -2.
Another 5+. Failed. So only 2 Orks dead.
That was a pretty shocking display from the Terminator, so the Orks will take over Objective 3. And we're into Space Marines turn 4. I don't get any victory points because I still don't technically hold any objectives, and the Ork War Boss will unsticky Objective 4. An Oath of Moment is going on the boys, who no longer have a 5+ vulnerable save, and we'll see if the Terminators can do better this time. The Infernus Marines moved around. He advanced, but he only got 1, so he's not going to get towards Objective 4 and steal it off the War Boss. So in the fight phase, the boys go first.
So we know why not nearly as many attacks. We'll start with the knob though. Well, at least he hit twice this time. 3s to wound. They do wound at -1.
3+ saves. Made them both.
Then 15 attacks from choppers. Only 8 hits, 5s to wound now. 2, -1.
3 pluses, made them both.
And only 4 attacks left with normal weapons, which all hit. 5s to wound, 1.
With a 2+, which I made. And then we're going to use a CP for Veteran Instincts. Boys are not vehicles or monsters, so I only re-roll 1s. So we've got 9 Power Fist attacks on 2s now, re-rolling because of Oath Moment. They all hit. Wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. So that's 8 dead Orks, because -2 AP with no
Well, they're all
save.
dead now because they don't have an invulnerable save.
And with all the boys dead, I regain control of Objective 3, which actually means I steal it off the Orks and get 5 victory points, bringing me up to 20. And that's it for my turn. On to Orks, turn 4.
Well, in the command phase, I got 5 VP for holding Objective 4, and then amazingly, the War Boss managed to roll a 6 for his loot roll and got another 5. So I've almost doubled my victory points. But despite that impressive looting, there's probably not much to be done for the game now, so I'm just going to charge the Terminators with the War Boss. I guess I can shoot them first. The shooting predictably did nothing, so the charge roll is enough. Obviously he gets in, and then we're going to use Epic Challenge, the stratagem, giving himself precision. See if we can take out the
And
captain.
his strength lots, so I'm going to use Gene Warp Resilience.
4 attacks on 2s, they all hit, and winning on 3s because of Gene Warp Resilience. It didn't actually help. We will put these on the captain, I guess technically 1 at a time, because he failed all of his invulnerable saves.
Well, 3 at a time.
Yeah.
4+, made 2, made 3. Takes 2 damages down to 4. So we've got 9 attacks with Power Fists on 3s, wounding on 3s, only 3 wounds.
4 pluses. Oh, he failed all 3. Well, he's got 7 wounds, so he's got 1 left. I guess I should probably re-roll 1. No, I did. Alright, he's got 3 wounds left.
And the captain on 2s, they all hit, 5s to wound, Only one wound.
Draw. Saved.
So both units are in combat, but I'm retaining control of Objective 3 as we head into Space Marines turn 5. Both the moments going on the War Boss. I gain another 5 victory points because I control Objective 3. I think this does mean that the Orc War Boss can't possibly kill enough Marines to actually take Objective 3. So we'll just do the final fight between the War Boss and see how many Marines he can take down.
I might as well do Epic Challenge again, see if we can take out the Captain.
Yeah, I'll do Gene War Resilience again. It might help.
So 2s. Well, he hasn't missed at least. And he wounds 3 times this time.
4 plus invulnerable. Fail 2, the Captain will die, but the 3 remaining Terminators will still be able to hold the objective, even though they're only OC 1. They have 9 attacks on 2s rerolling. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. Still not very good, only 4 wounds.
4 plus saves. 4 1s! Oh dear. The War Boss is thoroughly punched.
So the Captain is taken out by the War Boss, who is then thoroughly punched to death by the Terminators. So that will be a Space Marine victory, and we'll recap that for you now. Well, so that was our game for issue 57 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Well, not too well for the Orcs, I suppose, although the boys nearly pulled off some spectacular heroics at the end there. Well, I suppose they didn't actually really do any damage, but they didn't die.
More the Terminators were really bad for a split second.
Yeah.
I think it's more that I was able to deal with half of your army before the other half arrived. If all the Orcs were on the field, I think I would have had a much harder time of it.
I think that's true. I'm not going to say the teleporter enhancement is objectively bad, but in this matchup, or in this instance anyway, it really didn't help very much. I think the War Boss would have been much better off on the board to start with, where he could back up either the Death Copters or the Death Dread.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think the Infernus Marines did 3 damage and the Librarian didn't do any.
Yeah, once again, the Terminators just proved that they are the Space Marine Combat Patrol and the other people are just sort of there. I also won't say that the Orcs don't have any way of dealing with the Terminators, because if you don't roll well for your invulnerable saves, then yeah, rockets can just... Even if you just blow up 1 a turn, that's still whittling down their strength, and when they're the primary damage-dealing unit, that's quite important. And also the Death Dread, had it made its charge, it probably could have chopped a couple of them in half at least. Has quite a lot of attacks that all do 3 damage. And then without Oath of Moment on the Death Dread, the Terminators will damage it, but probably won't take it out in 1 round of combat.
I don't know whether it was lucky to have killed the Death Dread. I think it made most of its saves against the Terminators, and then the Captain did basically the same amount of damage and it failed that time.
True, although I think the Terminators rolled really badly and probably should have just killed it outright.
But I think it is entirely possible that if the Orcs had gone first, or if all the Orcs were on the board, you'd have 2 units, big units of boys holding 2 objectives. The rockets could potentially kill multiple Terminators, and then I don't think the Marines have any way back. And I think also if you had all your Orcs on the board, you'd be able to use your secondary objective more effectively as well. Although you did use it 3 times and got 8 victory points out of it, which is probably less than you'd expect. I think on average you should get 9 from 3 objectives. So.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, that combining that secondary and the teleporter isn't always the best combination. It might let you arrive behind the enemy lines and loot those ones, but particularly in this scenario where all 4 objectives were up for grabs. I think actually just having more models on the board to start with would have just been better. But I suppose as always it's kind of difficult to disassociate whether one combat patrol had a bad game, whether going first was important, whether it was just a bad matchup one way or the other. The Orcs also lost against the Chaos Space Marines. They ran into sort of similar problems, which is that when they have the War on, they can do quite a lot of damage in melee, but outside of that they certainly don't do much damage at range, and the boys struggle against decent armour saves and toughness, and they go down quite easily to shooting.
Yeah, obviously we got the rules for the Leagues of Votann, but we'll probably talk about those more once we actually get to use them. Considering that we've done a few campaign games now, and I think the Space Marines, the Eldari and the Tyranids have all won a game, so maybe the next one will be Orcs versus Chaos. We'll see if that turns up before the next Votann one. Might be a little while before we have another campaign game, because we'll be doing introductory games, and obviously we'll get our Cthonian Beserks in the next issue. Otherwise, I don't think there's too much more to say about this game or this issue. Leave any comments how you've been getting on with the magazine and so forth. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.